In November 1934, at the Self-Realization Fellowship International headquarters in Los Angeles, a fundamental question arose. How did the first seekers find God? The answer reveals a path that humanity has followed for millennia. Human beings have always sought relief from their physical and spiritual suffering, driven by the deepest necessity to find lasting meaning in their existence. This search did not arise by chance, but from the understanding that outer prosperity cannot bring lasting happiness without inner satisfaction. Early humans worshipped God primarily out of fear of natural forces. Floods from torrential rains killed many people, leading humanity to venerate wind, rain, and other natural manifestations they could neither understand nor control. Over time, humans discovered that nature possesses three fundamental powers: creative, preservative, and destructive. Like a wave that rises from the sea, manifests on its surface, and then dissolves back into the ocean, every aspect of creation follows this eternal cycle. The great sages of India, the Rishis, did not see evil as a separate force, but recognized these three aspects as divine manifestations. They called them Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer, understanding that they were projections of the unmanifested soul to show its eternal creative drama. A traditional Indian story tells of when Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva were boasting of their powers. A mysterious child appeared to them and asked Brahma what he could create. "Everything," Brahma proclaimed proudly. The child then questioned the other two gods about their abilities. "We preserve and destroy everything," they replied confidently. Then the child held up a tiny straw, no bigger than a toothpick. He approached Brahma and asked, "Can you create this straw?" Despite great effort, Brahma was astonished to find he could not. The child then asked Vishnu to preserve the straw, but it began melting under his watchful eye, and Vishnu's efforts failed. Finally, the small stranger urged Shiva to destroy the straw. Shiva tried with all his might, but the straw remained intact. The child then asked Brahma again, "Did you create me?" Brahma pondered deeply, but could not remember creating this sweet child. Suddenly, the child disappeared. The three gods awakened to realize their power came from a higher source. Western thinkers conceived God through cause and effect reasoning. Since humans can create objects by reshaping earthly materials, it made sense to suppose the cosmos originated from ideas, implying everything began with a first idea or cosmic plan. This logical progression led intelligent minds to believe in a supreme cause. Science tells us that electrons and protons form everything like building blocks. Yet why some electrons and protons create wood while others form bone remains unknown. What intelligence guides them? Through this inquiry, material scientists begin to incorporate God into their understanding of the phenomenal world. Indian sages declare that everything comes from and returns to its source: God. Order and harmony pervade all existence. Early Western thinkers initially believed nature and mind were independent, seeing humans as both matter and consciousness. Later, they asked why nature is so organized. Why aren't human arms of various lengths? Why don't planets and stars collide? Order and harmony permeate space. They concluded that one supreme intelligence must govern everything, since thought and matter are inseparable. This reasoning naturally led to the understanding that there is one God who is simultaneously cause, matter, and intelligence. Final wisdom recognizes that all is spirit masquerading as manifestation. With this perception, one would see God everywhere. But how did his seekers actually find him? They closed their eyes to focus on their inner intelligence and ignore the outer world. They realized the five senses could not detect God in nature, so they concentrated more deeply to sense him within themselves. By temporarily shutting off all five senses, they removed matter's hold on consciousness. The inner world of spirit was revealed to them. God disclosed himself to the ancient Indian masters who pursued these inner explorations with complete dedication. God recognizes righteousness and devotion above all else. The saints' concepts of God became direct perceptions through sustained practice. You too can come to know him personally, but your prayers often lack the necessary duration and intensity. To develop a relationship with God, you must first form an accurate understanding of him, then contemplate and pray persistently until that concept becomes living reality. Continue steadfastly, and God will manifest to you. The heart searcher desires genuine love above all offerings. A simple person may renounce all worldly wealth, while another may simply cry, "Oh Lord, I love you," and touch that devotee's heart more deeply. When your love for God equals your attachment to your mortal body, he will come to you. After devotion, God-seeking requires right action in daily life. Some people perceive God as divine strength and act powerfully in the world. When you perform your duties correctly while constantly remembering the Lord, you will begin to see him manifesting through your activities. Right living involves understanding the difference between selfless action and ego-driven behavior. A prideful churchman who seeks to recruit followers for personal glory will only disappoint God. All hearts should seek the divine indweller through selfless service. When you perform every action without personal attachment, motivated by God-inspired love, he will reveal himself to you. You will realize that you are not separate from the ocean of life, but rather each individual existence is a small wave upon that infinite sea. This is knowing God through dedicated activity. He will reveal himself when you think of him before, during, and after every action you perform. Work while allowing God to use you as his instrument. This represents the highest form of devotion. Assume that he is moving through your feet, hands, and will, and this attitude will help you recognize his presence. Prioritize spiritually useful, God-conscious work over activities performed without divine awareness. Yet, the ideal activity for God realization is meditation, which surpasses devotion, activity, and intellectual reasoning. True meditation is fundamentally spiritual in nature. Mystical meditation represents the highest human activity. It provides the most balanced approach to finding God. If you work too intensively, you may become mechanical and lose sight of him. If you rely solely on discriminative thought, you may fall into endless intellectual disputes. Practicing devotion alone may lead to emotional excess without true spiritual progress. Meditation harmoniously balances all these approaches, allowing you to work, eat, walk, laugh, cry, and think for him alone. Living in this manner brings the greatest fulfillment. Love, service, and communication with the divine will fill you with lasting happiness and peace. If your body's appetites and vulnerabilities dominate your thoughts and actions, you will not find him. You must maintain constant mastery over your physical nature. Church and temple attendance may produce some devotion and discrimination, but these alone are insufficient. Meditation is necessary to actually feel his presence within your being. You might think that 2 hours of meditation would bore you terribly, but I have found communion with God to be the most intoxicating experience possible. I rejoice when I drink the aged wine of my soul's deepest joy. Perfect delight awaits all sincere seekers. Carbon and diamond both receive equal sunshine, but only the diamond reflects its brilliance. Similarly, only transparent minds can clearly perceive the Spirit. Meditation solves the seeming problem of finding God. Instead of blaming your actions, examine your spiritual inaction. You believe you have no time for God, but imagine if God were too busy for you. Release attachment to sensory pleasures and habitual illusions that bind your consciousness. Why maintain this delusion when you could perceive a far more beautiful realm of existence? Divine joy can consume you 24 hours a day when you learn to be captivated by spiritual bliss rather than sense temptations. Master your mind and body through disciplined practice. Control your senses systematically and you will find God. I regard this body as a switchboard and its 5 senses as telephone connections to the outer world. My 5 senses can connect with the material world, but when I choose not to engage them, I shut them off and dwell in God's inexpressible bliss. God never intended for His children to suffer needlessly. You must overcome the illusion created by excessive sensory attachment. Consider communion with God as life's paramount necessity. Break free from dismal habits and limiting routines. I condemn only unbelief and forgetfulness of God. Through meditation, we can truly know Him. His wisdom and joy will flood your mind and heart, making you more effective and successful than ever before. God became my supreme refuge after searching the entire world for truth and happiness yielded only suffering and disappointment. Everyone must discover their inherent divinity and claim their rightful kingdom of God consciousness. You must save yourself through self-effort and divine grace. Internalize these profound truths and apply them for your ultimate spiritual benefit, not merely temporary comfort. Each person must realize their highest potential. Wrong actions create inner enemies that work against your best interests. Cultivate self-friendship through right living and spiritual practice. Only you can truly save yourself from ignorance and limiting habits. Your negative tendencies are your greatest obstacles to happiness and freedom. Children, teenagers, and adults remain busy with play, romance, and material worries, rarely focusing their attention on God. You must dispel the assumption that worldly pleasures can provide lasting satisfaction. Comfortable living and material wealth are insufficient for complete fulfillment. Your soul yearns for eternal delight that only comes through divine realization. Find God and awaken to your true divine nature. How can ego and destructive habits overpower your God-given reasoning ability? If people consistently followed their highest understanding, they would inevitably find happiness and peace. Jesus chose God's path over Satan's temptations when tested severely. Jesus understood that earthly authority appears attractive but remains temporary and ultimately unsatisfying. He discovered something infinitely greater than all the wealth and power the universe could offer. Most people continue craving fleeting pleasures and achievements that cannot provide lasting fulfillment. God will never abandon those who, like Jesus, choose the eternal over the temporary. Such souls enjoy endless divine bliss and cosmic consciousness.